Hello, and welcome to the Thane Heins Potential Difference YouTube channel. In 1980, when I was studying electronics technology, we were sitting in our motors and generators class, and the professor introduced us to generator armature reaction. And generator armature reaction is a counter electromagnetic torque which is produced inside an electric generator when the generator is placed on load and when current flows in the windings of the generator coil or coils. So I put up my hand and I asked the teacher, the professor, where the energy was coming from in order to create the counter electromagnetic torque. And the teacher could not answer the question. And then during the lecture, he went on to explain that the electromagnetic fields that were created around the generator coils entered the air gap between the rotating magnetic field and the generator coil and resisted the generator rotor's rotation. So what he was saying without realizing it was he was describing negative work that was being performed by electromagnetic field energy that was produced around the generator coils. So I put up my hand again and I asked the professor if it was possible, or if he thought it was possible, to divert the electromagnetic fields out of the air gap so that they would not impede the rotation of the generator's rotor, thereby making the generator require less mechanical input power when it's placed on load, and just making the conversion or the generator efficiency better. And the professor responded by saying that in order to do that, I would have to violate Newton's third law, LENZ'S law, and the law of conservation of energy. And basically, he told me to be quiet and don't ask any more stupid questions. So I did what the professor instructed, and in 2007, I learned that the magnetic field that's created around a generator coil does not have to be diverted out of the air gap. All that needs to occur is that the current in the generator coil windings needed to be delayed in the time domain. So from 1980, asking the original question, where does the energy come from, to 2007 and 2020, now I'm going to give you a definitive answer on where the energy comes from in order to perform the negative work that is occurring in all electric generators when they're placed on load And all electric vehicles, when they are recharging the EV's batteries while decelerating the EV. The deceleration process of the EV is negative work that's being performed by electromagnetic field energy. And I'm going to tell you exactly where that energy comes from now. So, the title of this paper, which is in the description box, which you can download, is The Nature of Subatomic Quantum Photon Energy Creation Around a Current Carrying Conductor. Subatomic quantum photon energy is basically a long-winded way of saying electromagnetic field energy, and the work performed by quantized fluctuating probability wave function energy. Quantized fluctuating probability wave function energy is a long-winded way of saying electron energy. So, the preamble, this paper explores the nature of how and why electromagnetic energy is created around all current-bearing wires. And according to the work energy principle, this created photon or electromagnetic field energy is responsible for performing negative work internally in all electric generators, and Potential Difference Inc. discovered that photon energy could be used to perform positive work in electric generators and motors, and that the kinetic energy of electric generators and motors could be increased without an external energy source. So again, generator armature reaction, or the negative work that is performed by electromagnetic field energy, can be seen in this simple demonstration. When we're idling a generator, it takes a certain amount of mechanical input power to idle the generator. And when current flows in the generator coils, a counter electromagnetic torque is produced, which resists the rotation of the rotor. The electromagnetic field energy that's created inside the generator is performing negative work. It's producing a counter torque, which makes it virtually impossible for me to turn this generator when current is flowing in the windings. So, the nature of matter. All matter is made up of atoms. Atoms have a positively charged center called the nucleus. The nucleus contains one or more protons and neutrons and is orbited by one or more negatively charged particles called electrons. In 1897, the electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson, and it was quickly realized that this is the particle, the charge carrier, that carries electric currents in electric circuits. The quantum nature of electrons. Electrons are quantum objects. Along with all other quantum objects, an electron is partially a wave and partially a particle. To be more accurate, an electron is neither literally a traditional wave nor a traditional particle, but it is instead a quantized fluctuating probability wave function. So here we have the nucleus of an atom being surrounded by electrons. So the title here is Quantum Electromagnetic Field Energy Creation, and this is not the ideal term. This word would probably be better if it was instead of creation, it was externalization. But we'll get to that in a second. So as electrons spin and orbit the nucleus of an atom, they create an electromagnetic field. According to the work energy principle, this electromagnetic field is a form of energy because it has the capacity to perform negative work and reduce the kinetic energy of electric generators and electric vehicles when electrons are caused to move in a current-carrying conductor. So, as the electron spins around the nucleus of the atom, which is made up of a proton and a neutron, it's also spinning on its own axis, and this produces an electromagnetic field. The nature of electromagnetic field energy. Electromagnetic field energy can be described in terms of a stream of massless particles called photons, each traveling in a wave-like pattern at the speed of light. So, an electromagnetic field is a stream of massless particles called photons, or a stream of photons, each traveling at the speed of light in a wave-like pattern. Electric current is the rate flow of charged electrons, quantum objects, in a conductor, or the flow of quantized fluctuating probability wave functions. Electrons are negatively charged quantum objects, and when a number of electron charges moves inside a conductor, it's called electric current. Depending on the structure of the substance, electrons can be tightly held or loosely held. When electrons are loosely held by the nucleus, they are able to travel freely within the physical limits of the body or conductor. The number of electrons that are able to move governs the ability of a particular substance to conduct electricity. Some materials allow currents to move better than others based on the ability of the material to conduct electricity. Materials are classified into conductors or insulators. Conductors allow the free flow of electrons from one charged particle to another. Conductors allow for charge transfer through the free movement of electrons. The flow of electrons inside the conducting material or conductor generates an electric current. Electromagnetic force creates electron flow or creates electric current. The force that's required to drive the electrons, quantum charged particles, and to produce current through a conductor is known as voltage or electromotive force, EMF. The motion of free electrons around an atom's nucleus is normally haphazard and random. So here we have the nucleus of an atom, which is being surrounded by a certain number of electrons that are rotating and spinning around the nucleus. And each electron is producing its own magnetic field. Electrons randomly rotating and spinning around an atom's nucleus. If a force acts on electrons to make them move in a particular direction, then the random motion of the electrons will be eliminated and normalized in one direction. The force that acts on the electrons to make them move in a certain direction is known as electromotive force, and its quantity is known as voltage and is measured in volts. Voltage creates the pressure on the electrons, which channels them to flow in a single direction. In 1900, the first model of electrical conduction, the Drude model, was proposed, which finally gave a scientific explanation for Ohm's law. In this model, a solid conductor consists of a stationary lattice of atoms with conduction electrons moving randomly in it. A voltage across the conductor causes an electric field which accelerates the electrons in the direction of the electric field, causing a drift of electrons, which is the electric current. So again, when electric current flows in a current-bearing conductor, a magnetic field is produced around the conductor. Now, when electric current flows in a current-carrying conductor, when electrons which have or which create an a magnetic field, when they flow in a current-bearing conductor, that magnetic field is externalized around the conductor. And that's why at the beginning I said electromagnetic field is an externalized electromagnetic field, which is the externalized magnetic field that the electrons produce when they're rotating and spinning around the atom's nucleus. Again, when an electron spins around the nucleus of an atom, it produces an electromagnetic field. When the electron moves through a current-carrying conductor, that magnetic field is externalized around the conductor. Heating effect of electric current. Electric current is the result of the flow of electrons. The work done in moving the electron stream is known as electrical energy. The electrical energy can be converted into other forms of energy such as heat energy, light energy, etc. When an electric current flows in a conductor, heat is generated in the conductor. Moving electrons collide and scatter off the atoms, which randomizes their motion, thus converting the kinetic energy added to the electrons by the field to thermal energy. And the amount of energy, the heating effect, the electrical to thermal energy conversion is essentially IR squared. And the heating effect depends on the following factors: time and resistance of the wire and the magnitude of the current flow. Cost of moving electrons. The work performed in heating a conductor, 100% of the energy conversion in a current-carrying conductor can be attributed to the electrical energy being converted and dissipated as heat or thermal energy, while electrons are forced to migrate down a wire by an electromotive force. The total energy cost is zero because energy can only be converted from one form to another. So there's a conversion of energy required to move the electrons through the resistance of the wire. The magnetic field that is produced around the wire requires no energy and has been in existence since the Big Bang. Cost of creating electromagnetic photon energy field around an electron in a conductor. Part of the atomic structure of the atom and all matter, which has existed since the Big Bang, and maybe even before the Big Bang, who knows, creates electromagnetic field energy, which includes electrons that are perpetually spinning and rotating around the nucleus of atoms. Electromagnetic field or photon energy is created as a result of electron flow, which is simultaneously externalized around the current-bearing conductor. So the quantum photon energy field around a conductor or electromagnetic field is massless particles called photons, each traveling at the speed of light. And the electric current, which is the flow of quantum objects, quantum fluctuating probability waveforms, charged particles or electrons, and the photon energy, the electromagnetic field energy flow direction. So when current flows in a wire, we have electrons flowing in the wire, electrons moving in the wire, and along with it is the magnetic field that is the part of the subatomic property of the atom and the interaction of the electrons around the atom. Forms of work performed by created quantum photon energy fields in electric generators and motors. When electric current flows in the windings of a conventional electric generator, the electromagnetic field energy created performs negative work and reduces the kinetic energy of the generator and the prime mover, according to the work energy principle. In an electric motor, this created electromagnetic field energy performs positive work. So an electric generator performs negative work, employing electromagnetic field energy to reduce the kinetic energy of the system. And electric motors, which are basically, an electric motor only has the ability to convert electric energy to thermal energy. An electric motor does not have the ability to convert electric energy to mechanical energy. The mechanical energy conversion, or the mechanical energy output of an electric motor, is being produced by the electromagnetic field energy that is produced by the rotation and the spinning of the electrons around the nucleus of the atom. In electric vehicles, this negative work is referred to colloquially as electric vehicle regenerative braking. In fact, electric vehicle regenerative braking is actually The correct term would be electric vehicle regenerative negative motoring, because the generator is acting like a motor in the opposite direction that the torque is being supplied to it, as we showed in this little example here. The classical engineering term for the negative work performed, or the counter electromagnetic torque performed by the created or externalized electromagnetic field energy, is generator armature reaction. Most people these days don't even know what generator armature reaction means. But everybody knows what, just about everybody knows what regenerative braking is, but they don't know that it's negative work. In 2007, it was discovered that when the flow of electrons down a current-bearing wire was delayed in the time domain, the created quantum photon energy field, aka electromagnetic field energy, would also be delayed. In conventional electric generator operation, when generating electric output power, generator armature reaction, the externalized electromagnetic field energy performs negative work according to LENZ'S law, which reduces the kinetic energy of the prime mover, thus requiring additional input energy to be supplied to the prime mover in order that additional mechanical input power can be supplied to the generator. Otherwise, the counter electromagnetic torque, the negative work performed by the externalized electromagnetic field energy, will stall the generator, will stall the prime mover, and the generator won't deliver any usable electric output power. In the RegenX generator operation, when generating electric output power, the time-delayed externalized electromagnetic field energy performs positive work according to Heins' law, and we're going to get to that in a second, which increases the kinetic energy of the prime mover generator system, thus requiring zero additional input energy to be supplied to the prime mover, because zero additional mechanical input power is required by the generator. So if the conventional generator creates a counter torque which works against the torque supplied by the prime mover, the RegenX generator produces a complementary electromagnetic torque that works in concert with the torque supplied by the prime mover, and no additional mechanical input power is required when the RegenX generator is placed on load. In the Heins motor, the kinetic energy of the motor is increased by using internally created quantum photon energy, i.e. electromagnetic field energy, which performs positive work without the need for externally supplied electrical energy. So here we have the load current sine wave for a conventional coil and the load current sine wave for a RegenX coil. This is the position where the North Pole magnet is basically top dead center, basically right above the coil's core. And we can see that, and beyond this point, the North Pole magnet is now moving away. the Regenex coil is still producing a north pole repelling magnetic field when the rotor magnet is moving away from top dead center, and this delayed electromagnetic field production is what causes the increase in kinetic energy in the Regenex generator and the increase in kinetic energy of the Heins motor with zero additional electric input power being supplied to the prime mover or the motor coil. So there's 3 video presentations in the description section. What is generator armature reaction? How generator armature reaction can be reversed, how the negative work can be turned into positive work by introducing a load current delay into the generator performance, and how positive work can be performed with, again, using the term created. It would probably be better if that term was externalized. It was created during the Big Bang or prior to the Big Bang, but now it currently exists, but now it's being externalized. So the electromagnetic field energy during electricity generation, instead of producing negative work as per electric vehicle regenerative braking or generator armature reaction, it can now perform positive work when recharging an electric vehicle, i.e. accelerating the electric vehicle while recharging the EV's batteries in regenerative acceleration mode, which is the opposite of regenerative braking. And how positive work can be performed by, again, externalized electromagnetic field energy in an electric motor with zero externally supplied electric energy. Conclusion. Ever since the original discovery of electromagnetism in 1820, the true nature of electromagnetic field energy externalized around a current-bearing wire has not been fully understood, even though it has been successfully exploited in the operation of the machinery of our modern